Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Demystifying Microsoft Podcast. I am your host, Nathan Taylor. Excited to chat with you today. And today I've got Graham Rosenberg with me today. How you doing today, Graham?
Doing well, Nathan. How you doing, man? Happy September.
I know it's crazy. It's crazy that we're already to September. Time flies.
I know, man. It's crazy.
Excited to nerd out with you on some AI, financial ops, FinOps, AI cost management topics today. Before we jump into that though, I want to just hit up, kind of set the stage. Graham, you and I have been doing a weekly short little show on YouTube and LinkedIn called "What's New in AI Today." In AI, what are we titling it? I kind of forgot the.
What's new in AI, I think is the title of it.
What's new in AI? My brain's fried. Just got out of a long meeting. So, talk me through what we do every week on that. Just kind of give us a rundown on what we're talking about on that show.
Yeah, I mean, as everyone knows, the world of AI is moving so quickly. Things are happening all the time. New models are coming out, new technologies are being deployed, new ways of using the tool sets are happening. And it just gives us an opportunity to spend 10, 15 minutes weekly just talking about what is new this week. Just help each other stay on top of the news, help everyone else stay on top of it, maybe, just impart knowledge on everybody.
That's awesome. Yeah, we try to keep it quick, 10 to 15 minutes, just talk about what's new and exciting. It's a great time. So check that out. It's not going to hit the podcast. Those episodes don't hit the actual podcast subscription, but it is available in the YouTube live section. And we try to also stream them to LinkedIn. If you're trying to catch us on LinkedIn, man, we're having issues with Riverside where sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. The Riverside to LinkedIn connection is buggy. For example, today we've got one of our streams to one of our channels on LinkedIn working, but not the others. So apologize if that is disruptive to you, but we try to keep it live and keep it fresh, but also get the episodes posted to the actual subscription. So, well, let's jump into this. So first of all, Graham, why don't we start with who are you and what's your role here at Sourcepass and kind of start there.
Yeah, Director of Intelligence and Automation here at Sourcepass. Been in this role, different titles, but more or less the same role for the last 3 years. I lead 3 different teams here: our RPA automation team, our business intelligence team, and our AI team. Very focused on internal efforts, but also help our customers as well. Anything from building workflow automation to custom AI agents, custom BI dashboard reporting, Power BI reporting, and kind of everything in between. Very focused on the Microsoft stack, a lot of Azure AI Foundry, a lot of Copilot Studio, some Power Automate. We also use Roost quite a bit for our RPA tool. So yeah, I would say 70% of what we do is really helping Sourcepass's internal operation just be more efficient. And then we take that same skill set and help our customers do the same thing.
That's awesome. I see you as the smartest person I know in the AI space. You know so much about the topic, and it's always amazing to pick your brain, to learn from you. So I'm excited to pick your brain here. And I think what's fun is instead of going deep on some amazing AI capability about like, we're going to change the world with AI, today we're talking about AI FinOps. FinOps is a term that's probably been around maybe a couple of years now in the industry. I think it originally started with like AWS and Azure, FinOps on cloud usage, right? To financial operations. Are you kind of keeping track of your costs and your billing in these cloud services? Because if you use an AWS and Azure, that can really balloon on you, become a substantial expense. Now we have this concept of AI FinOps. So why does Copilot suddenly need a FinOps discipline? Why is this a topic?
So historically, small business have survived on cloud services with per month licensing. Very repeatable, very what your cost is going to be. You pay for your license and you get to use the tool. AI and everything with it is very much like what you were talking about with Azure consumption. It's very much so. The more you use it, the more you're going to pay. So when you're talking about agent scheduled prompts, long running tasks, they spend credits and just it's like a meter just running. And the more you use it, the more you're going to spend. If we talk about Copilot specifically, Copilot charges in what they call credits, very similar to a token. It costs a penny per credit, so 250 bucks gives you 25,000 credits. You can buy those in a bundle. 25,000 credits for $200. It saves you $50 when you buy it in advance like that. Um, but yeah, this is kind of brand new. Everyone's dipping their toes in AI, building agents, and not everyone is licensed with Copilot. So using these Copilot agents when you don't have a license, or when you're using Cowork, you're running that meter and spending those tokens and credits.
Yeah, I think the AI world is moving so quickly, right? We've talked about it's an accelerator. There's a different time frame. It used to be you had years to get used to the idea of moving your email to the cloud, and then years of thinking about moving servers to the cloud. And we had these long kind of technological changes, but AI is on the day-to-day basis, right? We are just moving quickly. So I feel like a lot of this changed even the last few months with with various changes. But I think as people are trying to get up to speed with this, what are some of the places where people get their FinOps, their AI billing model wrong? Where do they go wrong in their approach here?
Yeah, so there's kind of two different areas, especially on the Microsoft side, when setting up these policies. When it comes to the pay as you go and the credit, half of it is Cowork. We've talked a lot about that the last few months. Before July 1st, Copilot Cowork was built into your Copilot license. It was free usage. It was what a time to be alive. Kind of want to get a T-shirt made saying I survived, or I lived through the free Cowork era, because I mean it was phenomenal being able to just run that thing often as you want. But Cowork and WorkIQ API is all managed through the Microsoft 365 Admin Center under the Copilot blade. Through there, you can set up your policies, you can set up your spending limits, you can set up your caps, figure out, hey, Nathan can have $50, Graham can have $30 a monthly spend. It's all managed through the Admin Center. When we switch over to Copilot Studio agents, it's billed differently. That's all managed through the Power Platform Admin Center. And that's where you can set up your Copilot Studio, tie them to environments, set up spending policies on those environments, link your billing plans to your Azure subscriptions through there, and set up your per agent billing models. It's all done through Power Platform. Both models, or both avenues, if you will, still pull from Copilot credits. So if you fund your account with a Copilot credit pack, they both pull from that pack together, but the way you manage them are very separate in the two different areas. It's a little confusing. I've struggled with this myself over the last few months. People who are licensed with Copilot paid licenses, they get to use Copilot Studio agents built into their license. But the benefit is not all small businesses can afford to spend 25, 30 bucks per user per month on these agents, but they want their teams utilizing AI and building these custom agents. This gives you a way to do that, save some money. So you can look at just Copilot credits as one currency, but two control planes.
Yeah, it's a lot of layers here, right? Because there's that you can also do some of this through consumption billing, right? Through Azure, so pay as you go. And so it's not always intuitive. It's new, it's nuanced. So appreciate you getting on and kind of really kind of working through that. So for Cowork specifically, I mean, I know I'm with you. A lot of people jumped in that we had 2 months, May and June, where just everyone was like, "Man, I'm going to automate my entire world," and then July 1st came, and everything changed. For Cowork specifically, what actually controls the spend? How do we navigate that?
Yeah, so July 1st, if you did not go in to the M365 Admin Center and set up your kind of Cowork policies, you lost access. You would go in to try to use Cowork, and a big error message came up saying you are out of credits and you have to go fund them. So there's two different ways or two controls that are both required when you set this up. And one is you got to set up your spending policy. This is dictating how much you're willing to spend on a monthly basis, up to, and it's all done with credits, which is pretty confusing, especially the first time you're in there. It's going to ask you how many credits you're willing to spend this month. Funny story, I actually had a client I set this up for, and I set up, I think it was 25,000 credits for them to spend in the month of August. And I set up some thresholds to email them once they hit certain thresholds. And they got an email saying, hey, you're out of credits. You've hit your 25,000 limit. And they look at that as dollars. And I got this frantic email like, did we really spend $25,000? I'm like, no, it's 25,000 credits. It's a $250 cap we implemented. But yeah, going in there, setting up those policies, or rather those billing policies that tie to your Azure subscription, setting what your spending limits are. That's step one. The second step is you actually have to go into the agent management in M365 and enable Copilot as well, or I'm sorry, Cowork as well. So half of it you assign users to a spending policy, and the other one you have to assign the agent to the users as well. And once those two things are turned on, users can start using it. I usually I like to tell people when you're setting up these limits, think of it very similar to when you go gambling in Vegas. Only bring the money you're willing to lose. Don't gamble anything you're not willing to lose, because people are likely going to hit that limit.
Yeah.
And until we figure out what that limit is, let's figure out a number you're comfortable with. Let's set that limit and let's see if it lasts you the month. Let's see who your power users are. Let's figure out where to go from here. You have a lot of flexibility when you set up these policies. If you say, I want my 5-person operations team to have a shared budget of $200, but I don't want any one person to spend more than 50. You have the flexibility to set up metering in such a way that you can keep your bottom line the way you want it, but you can kind of be flexible in how much users can spend. Work IQ API falls into this as well. That's also managed with the Cowork settings. So the same place you manage your Cowork spending limits, you can manage your Work IQ API as well. If you use anything inside when you're building Copilot Studio agents that touch your M365 data, it's using that Work IQ API. But you can also build agents outside of the Microsoft environment and hit that Work IQ API as well.
Man, it's amazing. I think it should be called out that those limits are key. You want them because, you want your people playing with AI and really kicking the tires, but you need guardrails because, I've experienced this. I'm still learning what sort of things in Cowork are expensive. It offers, hey, can I clean up your mailbox? Yes. Well, I've eaten through some serious credits very quickly with the mailbox cleanup because it goes and looks at a couple thousand emails and you quickly burn through a lot of credits. So it is, it might be seen as restrictive, but I think it's actually freeing up people to go kick the tires on stuff, but have guardrails like, oh, that was too far. I need to be careful. I think it's really important that you're proactive in creating these limits so that people can feel free to use it and kick the tires, but not, blow up your budget.
Yeah. And it's also, to your point, learning what I should use Cowork for. When I have a budget in mind, especially when that first month you hit your limit on day 7 of the month, it's like, oh man, I got to be careful on how I use this. The only way people can understand how to use it and when to use it is by giving them a budget to go play around with it a little bit. So it's really, it's a muscle we all have to work at and get good at. There's really no right or wrong answer of how to use it. Learning how to use it, there's really no way of saying how much is this task going to cost me. It's really, you have to figure that out. Cowork does have a really good skill built in called cost that you can run at the end that tells you how much that task costed you, and you can figure out, okay, it's not worth the $3 to go organize my inbox. I can do that myself, but this one Excel spreadsheet that drives me crazy every single month, it's really good at doing that, and I'm willing to spend my budget on that.
And these are like learning curves where we're going to have to learn where it adds value and then start thinking through the cost benefit of like, okay, you got a well-paid employee who saves an hour. What's that worth? What's their salary? What's the opportunity cost of them doing a busy task? But you still also have to deal with that goes from a theoretical cost to a hard cost because that's an expense on a P&L now, right? So it's almost a learning curve for all of us to kind of come to grips with some of that.
Yeah, definitely.
How do custom agents that people are building in Copilot Studio factor in here? People start building stuff. How do they navigate that?
Yeah, so I did mention this a little bit earlier. So anyone that has a paid Copilot license, M365 Copilot license, they get to use basically unlimited usage of Copilot Studio agents. It's the people who don't have that license where this really comes into play, and that's where you need to set up those billing policies in the Power Platform Admin Center, tying them to environments, and then tying agents to environments, and then setting billing profiles on those environments. So if you want to set up an environment and put a $300 limit on any agent in that environment, all of the agents in there are going to pull from that. Copilot Chat is free. That doesn't pull from those agents, but it's all the agents that are grounded in your work IQ data that are going to be pulling from these Copilot credits. A lot of, there is a trap here where the shortcut answer is just give them a paid license and a lot of these problems go away. And if you can afford that, by all means, it simplifies everything. You have a repeatable bill every single month. You don't have to worry about these budgets. But it's not always the most cost-effective way of going about it, especially if you have a large organization and you want to build a bunch of different agents. It might be way more cost-effective to ground these agents in the exact data and the exact instructions you want to do, build some budgets, and kind of go from there. But yeah, I recommend everyone who's playing with this. There's a default environment in the Power Platform. I recommend don't build anything under that default environment. Always build environments specifically for the task at hand or the group at hand. There's a few different ways to think about it, but always build brand new environments, tie brand new billing policies to them, tied to your Azure, and figure out what your spending capacity you're willing to put on that is, and then build in some notification rules. Hey, notify me once we hit 50%, 70%, 90%, 100%, just so you can stay on top of it. And you can always adjust this, even mid-month. You can go in there and adjust budgets, even higher or lower. But yeah, start somewhere, start smart, and figure it out as we go.
That's great. That's great feedback. I think that all helps with avoiding that surprise bill, and I think people don't know how to think through some of this. Right? It's very easy to create an agent that loops, but each one of those loops has a cost. Right? These are programming things that programmers know how to deal with. And in the past, programmers would be like, I locked up my computer with an infinite loop. Right? That's the famous address that Apple's looking on, right? One infinite loop. It's this idea that you could take a program and have it just do the same thing over and over and over for infinite, till the heat death of the universe. But in AI, that looping can run up some costs on you. Any other practical steps to make sure a bill never surprises anyone?
There is a toggle on agents that say turn off the agent once we hit 100%. I always recommend enabling that toggle. And then in Azure Cost Management, there's on the resource group. I always recommend creating resource groups on a per agent basis. That way you can set up very granular alerting controls. So kind of what I was talking about earlier, 50, 70%, 90%, 100% budgets. You can set that up on a resource group level and really dial in kind of your cost control around there. And then definitely stay on top of who are your power users. Figure out if you're spending, $100 a month on this one agent and Sally in accounting is accounting for $90 of that $100. Well, maybe we give Sally a Copilot license. All of a sudden, that $90 goes away, and now everyone else, you have a bigger budget for them to use.
It's brilliant. That's great advice. I also call out that if you're in a small business below 300 seats, there is the newer Copilot for Business SKU, which is around $20 per month instead of a $30 enterprise SKU. That's a new SKU in the last. It was launched around the beginning of the year, so real opportunity too. If you really do want to go down that route and you're a smaller business, there's a cheaper Copilot license available now than there was, say, a year ago. So great opportunities. Man, you're dropping some really good pro tips. I loved your tip about the don't develop in the default Power Automate environment. Some of the things you talked about using separate resource groups. These are great tips. Thanks for sharing.
They're all places I've stumbled myself. So I've learned this over the years for sure.
Man, it's so valuable to learn from others' mistakes, though. So thanks for sharing. What should IT and finance leaders do this quarter just to kind of get ahead of this?
Yeah, figure out which plane we're playing in. Are we talking about Cowork or are we talking about Copilot out before we start building so we know where to go set up all these budgets? We want to set enforcement caps, not just alerting. To your point earlier about the infinite loops, we don't want to wake up to a surprise bill. I think we both read those horror stories of people who are using AI in ways that they weren't aware that they were using, and they wake up to these crazy bills the next day. And you just want to figure that out ahead of time, set up those caps so that you don't wake up to that. And treat share scope and agent availability as budget decisions, not just IT toggles. Should not be IT making these decisions. We need to have business leaders helping with these decisions, finance people making these decisions. It should be a collaborative effort, teaching them what this means. I've talked to a few CFOs that they don't understand like what the value of these AI tokens and what they can do. But then you give them access to it, and something clicks in their brain like, okay, I get it. This is actually going to save us money in the long term. I always recommend as well, start with capped pilots. Don't roll it out to the entire company all at once. Figure out a few users, roll it out slow, review consumption monthly, and see how you want to scale it up from there. Figure out the value prop before you just launch it out to everybody.
Great call out. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Lots of variables here. On this whole agentic front, Microsoft is putting a lot of effort into Agent 365, which is a new product they launched in May, and they are starting to build out some FinOps capability in there. And I'm curious to see what things they launch over the next 6-12 months in that space. I think they're realizing that Agent 365 was really originally designed to handle observability, governance, and security for agents was Microsoft's goal. But I think they're finding that the FinOps conversation is driving a lot of development as well. And I think that they've pivoted to add that as a focus. And I expect we'll see some additions there, because I think it's one of the big needs is that FinOps visibility in addition to that governance visibility.
Yeah. In the Cowork admin, in the Cowork panel in the admin center, they've added a lot of reporting and visibility into that just in the last 2 weeks. When it went live on July 1st, it left a lot to be desired, in my opinion. But they've closed a lot of gaps around there, and I think we're going to continue investing in it.
Yeah. One thing I'm hoping that they look at is some more Anthropic style limits where your monthly cap is in a 5-hour window instead of a 31-day window, because that tends to be easier as a user. I find I'm able to go, oh, I'm using too much, or this was an expensive query, but I'm not done for the month, right? I have a little bit more flexibility. So
yeah, I'd also love to see bake in some Cowork credits into the monthly license. That way, these organizations that are, I don't want to say scared, but like are a little, not wanting to dip their toe in the water just because of the cost uncertainty. If Microsoft gave some credits to go spend, even if it's, $10 per user or something, even in a trial period, to understand what Cowork can do and how valuable it is. I think that'd be very beneficial. I'd love to see that.
Me too. I think one of the things to call it too is just that this is a learning curve for everybody. Like we're all learning. Everybody needs to learn, and I don't think you can learn without getting your fingers dirty. You got to get in. You got to play with it. You got to set some budgets. Got to try out co-work. And so I've been talking to a lot of IT and business leaders. You can't delegate understanding AI. You have to understand it yourself. You have to play with it. You have to kick the tires. You have to ask questions. So always stay curious and keep digging. I think the final thing I'll bring to you, Graham, we didn't talk about this in our show prep, but say somebody really gets into it and they've developed some agents that are really valuable. Um, you know, you've built a lot of AI for us at Sourcepass. Do you run those in Copilot Studio, or where does that evolve as you get deeper into building some of these agentic processes?
I find Copilot Studio is really good for agents that have a chat front end. If it's something that people are going to be interacting with and chatting with, Copilot Studio cuts out a lot of the development effort around that. Just it gives you the interface, it gives you kind of the logic all behind it. You can build different topics that you can kind of build very specific custom rules for. But something that are more like agentic workflows or agents that run without a human interacting with a chat window. We do a lot of that building inside of Azure Functions, inside of AI Foundry. It's a lot in this day and age. A low code solution isn't what it used to be. When you have these AI agents that can help you code, and the low code solution is the chat prompt.
Yeah.
There's no,
Yeah.
the value of these low code solutions, it almost kneecaps you. Whereas Azure Functions, Azure Foundry, you integrate that Azure CLI inside of Claude Code, and you can build amazing things with really no limits in a very short amount of time. So
yeah, I think that's a good call, and they tend to be more cost effective in Azure Foundry as well, right? Your consumption costs go down as you turn those to truly just cloud Azure native functions rather than the Copilot Studio agents.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you dial in your logic a lot, you can use very cheap models. I mean,
Right.
you go back
Right.
to the chat or ChatGPT 4.0 models, 4.0 mini. I mean, we're talking it's 29 cents per 1 million output tokens. I mean, it's very, very cheap compared to these frontier models. And if you have your instructions dialed in enough, that you can get by with those cheaper models.
It's great advice. So what I'm hearing is, first of all, we all need to start to understand AI FinOps. We need to jump in, set some limits, help your people use it responsibly. If you got a power user, it's probably worth getting them a Copilot full Copilot 365 license so that they have the freedom to do that. Copilot Studios, the environment to learn about it, to test it, to build some things. I've certainly done a little bit of that. Those chatbot, user coded, kind of low code, no code, low barrier of entry apps. Copilot Studio is great for that. And there's ways to manage that, those expenses based on some of the tips you gave earlier. And then as you scale, you want to start to think through different ways to approach those things and as you get more advanced.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, jump in, set those budgets, even if it's a little bit of money. Jump in and just start playing with it.
Yeah, great advice. Well, and we have a lot that we love about Copilot. I mean, even today we're talking about, right? Today is September 1st, and Fable 5.1 came out, right, from Anthropic,
Yep.
and it's already available in Copilot. So one of the things we love about Copilot is you get access to those latest and greatest frontier models from OpenAI and Anthropic, but you get it within your Microsoft construct with your Microsoft Enterprise Data Protection, all the auditability and manageability you come to expect from Microsoft. You're getting those latest and greatest models, but in this environment that you know and trust. And there's a lot to like on that side. So man, it's exciting times to be, playing with Copilot and learning new things.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal that the two top frontier models available from OpenAI and Anthropic are both available in Copilot, Enterprise Data Protection. You can kind of test them side by side in a secure way. it's really cool.
That's pretty stellar. Well, Graham, this is a lot of fun. I always learn so much from episodes with you, conversations with you. So thank you for sharing. I know this is really valuable stuff on this AI FinOps front. It's going to be a popular topic going forward. I know a lot of my peers in the industry are just wrestling with it. So thank you for sharing your experience and your time today.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great chatting with you.
Awesome. Well, keep in mind, Graham and I do this every week. Usually midweek, some afternoon, we schedule something. We try to post it to LinkedIn and to YouTube. We just get 5, 10, 15 minutes talking about what's new in AI. This week we will be on Friday. I'll be talking with um, one of my buddies at Microsoft about Scout and Cowork. So we're kind of going to go a little bit deeper.
Nice.
That's going to be with Ricky Lawson. He's one of the Microsoft um, account managers, but he's deep into this stuff and he's got some great insights here. So it'll be a lot of fun to talk about that. So the AI conversations continue, and hopefully this is valuable to you. And we always appreciate those of you tune into the Demystifying Microsoft podcast. And we will catch you on the next episode. Thank you and have a great week.
Yeah, see everybody.